Free college football picks. Week 5. This is part 5. I'm Tony T here with our college football pick show here. Week 12, part 5 is what it is, right? We'll get it right. We're going to get you all 63 games here by the end of the week. And this one we'll have 10 games for you. Then we'll have 10 tomorrow. We'll also have the 2 on this show. We'll have 2 for today, for Friday's game, and we'll have 8 for Saturday. So that'll equal 10. Before we get underway, just a couple of things. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Free college football picks are updated all season long. Free picks every day from all the major sports. We also have NFL, got NBA, college basketball, NHL, European football, and more. It's a good time to subscribe. And also, if you would support our channel, thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Then visit Tony'sPicks.com, or a multi-capper site showcasing top cappers in our industry. Click the links to the hot cappers. Get signed up to some of our long-term passes. Got some really good cappers up for hot right now with guys like Brandon. We've got Ramon, who's been up there, Nick, as well as many I've been doing well here, documented here the past 3 days in NFL and college football. So click the links and get signed up to some of our long-term passes. You'll find our premium picks here at the center of the page, as well as our best bets. So cappers can release one best bet per sport per day. So you see many of them are up there right now. Our $15 premium picks. I got a couple on the board, as well as some 3-packs still remaining as well. So check it out. Also, our pick ticker. If you're looking to purchase picks a la carte, our pick ticker is up here with picks available there. All right. Let you know about our promo code. You can save 20% off all premium pick packages. When you use that promo code TonyT at checkout, you can access our page by clicking the link in the description, then the All Cappers tab, then get signed up. Also, I'd love to hear from you guys, so post your picks in the comments below. If you are looking for cappers, you can apply at Tony'sPicks.com down to our footer section. And of course, our podcast. Every pick in podcast form, available on all major platforms. Just search Tony's Picks. All right, let's get this one started. USF and Tulsa college football pick. This one goes off here on Friday. USF fell to 1-9 with their 41-23 home defeat to SMU. Bulls gained 381 yards with 179 rushing on 42 carries. Defensively, USF allowed over 6.5 yards per rush to the Mustangs with 280 passing on 27 attempts. Byron Brown, 2 of 3 passing for 24 yards on a touchdown, with the injury to Ketravius Marsh on the year. Brown, a 40% completion rate, 4 yards per attempt. Tulsa moved to 3-7 with their 28-10 road defeat at Memphis. Golden Hurricane gained a season-low 207 yards with 31 rushing on 23 carries. On defense, Golden Hurricane allowed 2 yards per rush with 262 passing yards on 34 attempts. Davis Brin completed only 38% of his passes, 3.7 yards per attempt, all season lows. He's passed 48 yards and interception. This season, Brin, a 59% completion rate, 8.6 yards per attempt. Bulls' offense on the road has been very poor, and they surrender 480 yards defensively, 6.7 yards per rush, and 8.9 yards per pass attempt. Tulsa's passing game effective at home, 278 yards. They average 8.4 yards per attempt. They do make big plays with 14.2 yards per completed pass at home. The play here will be on Tulsa -13. San Diego State versus New Mexico college football pick. This one goes off here on Friday. San Diego State improved to 6-4 after their 43-27 home win to San Jose State. Aztecs gained 425 yards, 157 rushing on 45 carries. Defensively, they stuffed the Spartans' ground game, just over 1 yard per rush with 195 passing on 33 carries. Jalen Maiden completed 77% of his passes for 12.2 yards per pass. He threw for 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. This year, Maiden a 66% completion rate with 9.1 yards per attempt. Mexico drops to 2-8 after their 35-3 road defeat to Air Force. Lobos gained 172 yards, 44 rushing on 25 carries. Defensively, they surrendered 6 yards per rush to the Falcons with 42 passing on 2 attempts. Justin Holiday completed 10 of 21 for 128 yards. Now this season, Holiday a 45% completion rate, 3 yards per attempt. Lobos have covered 6 of 7 at home against the Aztecs. San Diego State on the road averaging just 263 yards while giving up 366. Lobos do defend better at home. It's just trust the tough Aztecs to cover over 2 touchdowns on the road. The play here will be New Mexico plus 14.5. Georgia Tech versus North Carolina college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Georgia Tech sits at 4-6 after their 35-14 home win to Miami. Yellow Jackets posted 363 yards with 129 rushing on 27 carries. Their defense surrendered 5 yards per rush to the Hurricanes with 136 passing on 19 attempts. Zach Gibson, 57% completion rate, 5.7 yards per attempt. He had 120 passing yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Season-wide, Gibson career lows here, 49% completion rate, 4.4 yards per pass attempt, and that is for the Akron transfer. North Carolina improved to 9-1 after their 36-34 road win at Wake Forest. Tar Heels posted 584 yards, 136 rushing on 38 carries. Defensively, they gave up over 4 yards per rush to the Demon Deacons with 320 passing on 31 attempts. Drake May completed 63% of his passes, 9.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 448 yards and 3 touchdowns. This season, May a 70% completion rate, 9.5 yards per attempt. May has thrown for 34 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Tar Heels a long shot to make the playoffs, but style points will still be in play here. Gibson's season numbers a major concern here against May. Past 3 games, Yellow Jackets pass defense allowing 8.2 yards per attempt. The play here will be on North Carolina minus 21. Stanford versus California college football pick Saturday. Stanford fell to 3-7 after their 42-7 road defeat at Utah. Cardinal gained 177 yards with 22 rushing on 26 attempts. Defensively, they surrendered over 7 yards per carry to Utah with 235 passing on 34 attempts. Tanner McKee completed 48% of his passes, 6.7 yards per attempt. This season, McKee a 60% completion rate, 6.9 yards per attempt. California dropped to 3-7 after their 38-10 road defeat at Oregon State. Golden Bears gained a season-low 156 yards with 9 rushing on 16 carries. On defense, they surrendered just under 4 yards a carry with 196 passing on 27 attempts. Jack Plummer completed 65% of his throws, 4.3 yards per attempt. He threw for 147 yards and an interception. On the year, Plummer a 63% completion rate with 6.7 yards per attempt, and that is for the Purdue transfer. Past 3 games, Cal defense allowing 488 yards and Stanford at 517. Play here will be Stanford and California over 46. Marshall versus Georgia Southern college football pick Saturday. Marshall moved to 6-4 with their 28-21 home win to Appalachian State. Thundering Herd gained 341 yards, 121 rushing on 37 carries. On defense, they limited the Mountaineers to 3 yards per rush with 177 passing on 34 attempts. Cam Fancher hit on 57% of his passes, 8 yards per attempt. He threw for 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. On the year, Fancher a 55% completion rate with 6.3 yards per attempt. Georgia Southern fell to 5-5 with their 36-17 road defeat at Louisiana. Eagles gained 430 yards with 72 rushing on 25 carries. Defensively, they did give up 6 yards per run to the Raging Cajuns with 193 passing on 32 attempts. Kyle Van Treese completed 57% of his passes, 6.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 325 yards and a touchdown. On the year, Van Treese a 61% completion rate with 7.1 yards per attempt. Thundering Herd defense in great form over the past 3 games are allowing 257 yards, 2.8 yards per rush, and 4.8 yards per pass attempt. Eagles defense in this span allowing 470 yards, 5.9 yards per rush, 7 yards per pass attempt. The play here will be Marshall minus 4.5. Texas Tech versus Iowa State college football pick. This one goes off here on Saturday. Texas Tech 5-5 with their 43-28 home win to Kansas. Red Raiders gained 510 yards with 264 rushing on 48 carries. Eventually, they allowed 8 yards per rush to the Jayhawks with 283 passing on 33 attempts. Tyler Schau completed 60% of his passes with 7.5 yards per attempt. He threw for 246 yards and a touchdown. This season, Schau a 54% completion rate with 7.3 yards per attempt. Iowa State fell to 4-6 with their 20-14 road defeat at Oklahoma State. Cyclones put up 333 yards with 59 rushing on 36 carries. They limited the Cowboys' ground attack to just 1.5 yards a carry with 187 passing on 25 attempts. Hunter Deckers completed 67% of his passes with 6.5 yards per attempt in the loss. He threw for 274 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions. On the year, Deckers completing 67%, 6.6 yards per attempt. The Cyclones have defended well at home, holding teams at 3.3 yards per rush and 6.7 yards per pass attempt. Red Raiders on the road allowing 398 yards, 4.9 yards per rush to opponents. Red Raiders on the road have lost all 4 games by 9 points or greater. Play here will be Iowa State at minus the 3.5. Tennessee versus South Carolina college football pick. This one here on Saturday. Tennessee improved to 9-1 with their 66-24 home win to Missouri. Volunteers posted 724 yards in that game, 264 of it rushing on 37 carries. Defensively, they allowed nearly 5 yards per rush to the Tigers with 217 passing on 33 carries. Hendon Hooker completed 71% of his passes with 10.1 yards per attempt. He threw for 355 yards and 3 touchdowns. This season, Hooker, a 71% completion rate with 10.1 yards per attempt. Hooker has thrown for 24 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. South Carolina, they're 6-4 after a 38-6 road win at Florida. Gamecocks posted 237 yards. That's a season low, with 44 rushing on 23 carries. Defensively, they limited the Gators' passing game but allowed 374 rushing yards on 54 carries. Spencer Rattler completed 69% in the loss with 5.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 145 yards. On the year, Rattler a 65% completion rate, 8 touchdowns, 9 picks, 7.2 yards per attempt. Volunteers are in the discussion for a playoff spot. Style points that matter the rest of the way for a one-loss Volunteers team that will not play in the SEC championship game. Gamecocks held at 10 points or fewer in 2 of their past 3 games. Exception was their game at Vanderbilt. Play here will be Tennessee minus 21.5. Boise State versus Wyoming college football pick Saturday. Boise State improved to 7-3 with their 41-3 road win at Nevada. Broncos piled up 528 yards with 267 rushing on 47 carries. Defensively, they limited the Wolfpack to under 4 yards per rush with 123 passing on 31 attempts. Taylon Green completed 50% of his passes, 9.9 yards per attempt. He passed for 218 yards and a touchdown. On the season, Green a 66% completion rate, 8.4 yards per attempt. Wyoming improved to 7-3 after that 14-13 road win at Colorado State. Cowboys gained at 236 yards with 142 rushing on 37 carries. They held the Rams to less than 4 yards a carry with 251 passing on 26 attempts. Jaden Clemens completed 63% of his passes with 8.2 yards per attempt. He came in for an injured Andrew Peasley. On the season, Clemens a 69% completion rate, 8.8 yards per attempt. He has thrown only 13 passes. Quarterback situation, the major concern for Wyoming. Past 3 games, Broncos holding teams to 317 yards and 3.2 yards per rush. In that period, their offense moving the football for 455 yards and 9.6 yards per pass attempt. Broncos have shown huge improvement with the quarterback change. Play here will be Boise State at minus 14. Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma college football pick Saturday. Oklahoma State improved to 7-3 with their 20-14 home win to Iowa State. Cowboys posted 244 yards with 57 rushing on 35 carries. On defense, they held the Sooners to under 2 yards per rush with 274 passing yards on 43 carries. Both Rangel and Sanders expected to miss this game. So at quarterback, look for freshman Gunnar Gundy here. He completed 42% of his passes and lost to Cyclones with 8.6 yards per attempt. He threw for 103 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. On the season, at the third string, Gundy a 49% completion rate with 6.3 yards per attempt. Oklahoma, they're 5-5 after their 23-20 road defeat at West Virginia. Sooners gained 426 yards with 236 rushing on 40 carries. They allowed about 4 yards per rush to the Mountaineers with 203 passing yards on 34 attempts. Dalen Gabriel completed 61% of his throws, 6.8 yards per attempt. He threw for 190 yards. Season to date, Gabriel a 64% completion rate with 8.4 yards per attempt. At home, the Sooners are moving the football for 534 yards, 5.5 yards per rush, 304 passing for 9.1 yards per attempt. Cowboys defense on the road is giving up 504 yards, 5.7 yards per rush, 282 yards passing, 8.1 yards per attempt. Oklahoma State dealing with quarterback issues with the third string probable starter here on this road rivalry game. Play here, Oklahoma minus 7. Mississippi versus Arkansas college football pick Saturday. Ole Miss fell to 8-2 with their 30-24 home defeat to Alabama. Rebels produced 403 yards with 191 rushing on 49 carries. Defensively, they held the Crimson Tide to 3 yards per rush with 209 passing on 33 carries. Jackson Dart completed 58% of his passes, 6.8 yards per attempt. He passed for 212 yards and a touchdown. On the season, Dart a 61% completion rate with 8.6 yards per attempt. Arkansas sits at 5-5 with their 13-10 home defeat to LSU. Razorbacks posted 249 yards with 133 rushing on 45 carries. Defensively, they allowed nearly 4 yards per rush to the Tigers with 86 passing yards on 15 attempts. K.J. Jefferson expected to return after missing the LSU game. Jefferson on the year a completion rate of 68%, 8.9 yards per attempt. Past 3 games, Ole Miss allowing 432 yards, 4.4 yards per rush, and 7.6 yards per pass attempt. The play here will be on. Oh, with Jefferson back, the play will be on. Arkansas plus 2.5. All right, that was our college football pick show here for week 12. That was part 5. We'll have part 6 tomorrow. We'll have 10 more tomorrow to complete the entire card here from college football. Make sure to like and subscribe. Visit Tony'sPicks.com for our best bets for the card. That's where our premium picks are on Tony'sPicks.com. And, of course, check out all our live shows here on our channel. I'm Tony T, back later with more picks.